Imagine getting off from a hard day's work. Your only means of transportation is the bus. After waiting for the bus, you finally get on, pay your money, take your seat. Just as you is getting comfortable, you are being told by the bus driver that you have to give up your seat to someone standing who is in perfect health. Would you get out of your seat or would you refuse? In 2007, you have the right to sit where you please, but unfortunately, in the 1950s, African Americans did not have that right. One individual in particular decided against giving up her seat and was jailed. Rosa Parks was an African American civil rights activist whom the U.S. Congress later called the mother of modern-day civil rights movement. A woman who was considered a pioneer for jump-starting the civil rights movement that gave African Americans the opportunities that they have today. I will highlight on Ms. Parks' background, on what made her famous, and the impact of her actions. Now let's talk about her background. Rosa Parks was born Rosa Louise McCauley in Tuskegee, Alabama on February 4, 1913 to James McCauley and Leona Edwards, a carpenter and a teacher, and was of African American, Cherokee Creek, and Scottish-Irish ancestry. She was small even for a child and suffered poor health and had chronic tonsillitis. When her parents separated, she moved with her mother to Pine Level just outside Montgomery, Alabama. There she grew up on a farm with her maternal grandparents, mother and brother Sylvester, and began her lifelong membership in the African American Methodist Church. She was homeschooled by her mother until she was 11. Then enrolled at the Industrial School for Girls in Montgomery, where she took academic and vocational courses. Parks then went on to laboratory school set up by the Alabama State Teachers College for Negroes for secondary education, but was forced to drop out to care for her grandmother and later her mother after they became ill. In 1932, Rosa married Raymond Parks, a barber from Montgomery. Raymond was a member of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. After marriage, Rosa took numerous jobs, ranging from domestic worker to hospital aide. At her husband's urging, she finished her high school studies in 1933, at a time when less than 7% of African Americans had their high school diplomas. Despite the Jim Crow laws that made political participation for black people difficult, she succeeded in registering to vote on her third try. In December 1943, Parks became active in the civil rights movement, joined the Montgomery chapter of the NAACP. In the 1940s, Parks and her husband were also members of the Voters League. Let's move on to what made Rosa famous. After a day at work at Montgomery Fair Department Store, Parks boarded the Cleveland Avenue bus at around 6 p.m. Thursday, December 1st, 1955, in downtown Montgomery. She paid her fare and sat in the empty seat in the first row of back seats reserved for blacks in the colored section, which was near the middle of the bus, directly behind the 10 seats reserved for white passengers. As the bus traveled along its regular route, all of the white-only seats in the bus filled up. The bus reached the third stop in front of the Empire Theater, and several white passengers boarded. The bus driver noted that the front of the bus was filled with white passengers, and there were 2 or 3 men standing. Thus, he moved the color sign behind Parks and demanded that 4 black people give up their seats in the middle section so that the white passengers could sit. 3 of them complied. The black man sitting next to Rosa gave up his seat. Parks moved, but toward the window seat. She did not get it up to move to the newly positioned color section. The bus driver said, "Why don't you stand up?" Parks responded, "I don't think I should have to stand up." When Parks refused to give up her seat, a police officer arrested her. As the officer took her away, she recalled that she asked, "Why do you push us around?" The officer response, as she remembered it, was, "I don't know, but the laws are laws, and you are under arrest." She later said, "I only knew that as I was being arrested, that it was the very last time that I would ride in humiliation of this kind." Now let's talk about the impact Because of Rosa's refusal, she sparked a major boycott against the bus system. This was lifted off the ground by Martin Luther King Jr. Every African American refused to ride the bus, walking everywhere they needed to go. The boycott lasted for 382 days, causing a strain on the bus system as African Americans were their prime riders. On December 20th, 1956, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Ms. Parks and ruled segregation illegal. This sparked the bus system to change their way of doing things. The new rules were as follows. Black and whites were allowed to sit wherever they wanted. Bus drivers were to respect all riders, no matter their color. Black people were allowed to apply for driver positions. In conclusion, as you can see, Rosa Parks was a key element in the improved way of life for unity in this country today. Unfortunately, she passed away recently on October 24, 2005. But even after her death, she continued to make history by being the first African American and first woman to lay in the state capitol, which is usually for presidents and war heroes. So the next time you ride the bus and you choose your seat anywhere you please, take time to remember the woman who helped make that possible for you and I.